Bit of a messy go-home show, but I'm still looking forward to All Out. I'm John Rethlin with my review of AEW Dynamite, and look, this actually wasn't that bad of a show, but there was a couple segments where I was like, okay, why is this here? And then one particular segment where I'm like, they're just trying to fucking stretch for time. WCW and WWE have done messy go-home shows for years and years and years. Well, not so much WCW since they haven't been around for almost 20 years. But going back and watching some of that, a lot of their go-home stuff was just like, let's just get everybody on the card and let's just do all this stuff. I still think All Out's going to be a pretty damn good pay-per-view. My predictions will be up after this, but there were some things that didn't work on this show. So JR, Shivani, and Excalibur on commentary. The Best Friends jumped Santana Ortiz before the bell. This was about 7 minutes of a street fight before the bell actually rang and a proper match started. Trent dived, we get chair steps, we get a chair pyramid, tailor-made for Chuck to go right through them. Trent's 2-on-1 for a bit. Chuck gets back in after a little bit and does some dives, I think about 5 minutes later. And then we get a step spot where Trent gets smashed on. A lot of people getting smashed on things. And then a botched 3 count where Santana is supposed to get Ortiz's hand or foot on the rope. And the referee clearly sees it, but it's like, oh, I counted 3, but oh no, he got his hand on the rope that I saw the guy actually do, but we got to call it. Fucking stupid. Really took me out of the goddamn match. Took the crowd out of the match, what meager crowd there was, and I understand why they only have a few people there, but yeah, that wasn't a very good look. That was not a very good look at all. And they eventually, won. Santana got his baton all over Trent's back and the street sweeper for 3. So, okay, this feud isn't over. More in the pity. MJF has is backstage with his crew. Lee Johnson says, oh, Mark Sterling locked himself in the locker room. The lawyer, he's got to face Moxley, otherwise MJF doesn't get a shot. MJF says to him, hey, buddy, you okay in there? And then Wardlow kicks the door down, grabs him, pulls him out, and says, you either get in the ring or you get in the wood chipper. Bit dark, but okay. MJF really wants his title shot. And then SCU and Private Party versus the Bucks and Jurassic Express, or Lucha Express, as JR has called them. To be fair, I think we've all botched, so I'll allow that one. But, oh boy, JR sometimes, proves that he doesn't really give a shit about this product at all, especially the women. Oh boy, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. The winning teams face each other. So whichever, quartet wins this match faces each other at the pay-per-view. I understand the need to fill out the card, but this is kind of a stupid stipulation. I'm not saying the match won't even be good, and I'll do my predictions later, but it just seems like a weird way to get there. This was a mess. There was a lot of one-upping, full-throated endorsement at one point, which that, creates all kinds of jokes right there. That was a line that was said. Flippy shit. Everybody get in here. Everybody hit everything. And then the BTE trigger pins Mark Quinn. They pulled the trigger on Quinn. The irony and subtlety is not lost on me at all with that. And then, so the Bucks and Jurassic Express or Lucha Express face each other at the pay-per-view. And then we have Jake Hager with Orange Cassidy. Jake Hager has the personality of a dead zebra. And his wife actually probably smells like one. I don't really care for Jake Hager. I have pretty good reasons for that. The guy's kind of an idiot, kind of a goddamn jerk on social media. And has proven that he really doesn't know fuck about anything. And you know what I'm fucking talking about. If you know, you know. He says Jericho wants him out there for the match that he's going to have against Joey Janella. Jericho, that is, not Hager. We don't need 2 bland personalities out there. We have Jericho, Pandemico, to go out there. So, yeah, 7 is a lot more than 7 right now is all I'll say about Chris. And then, of course, Jake Hager's an all-white because he's all white now, and if you get it, you get it. Tully is with FTR. It's hype for the main event. Typical stuff, not too bad here. Shivani interviews Kenny Omega. I'm not a big Kenny Omega fan, but putting that to the side, he was wearing a Hana Kimura shirt with, like all the, I think it's on Pro Wrestling Tees, all the proceeds go to her family to, just help them out and everything, which that's really good. And he spent some time in Japan. I would imagine Hana Kimura probably meant something to him. It meant something to a lot of people. I had not seen all that much of her work, but I've had people tell me that she was really, really good. Too young, so tragic the way, she was bullied basically into taking her own life. It's a terrible thing. You guys ever feel, little sidebar here, a little serious. If you guys feel, whether we talk, whether we're friends or just acquaintances, or whether we even, have disagreements and you tell me to, frickin' die here. I want to tell you guys can talk to me if you have some issue, and especially if you are on Twitter, because that's the best way to find me, so you don't expose, your business on here. You can always talk to me. If we follow each other, I will talk to you guys. I'm always here. I'm always on social media. I don't really go fuck up anywhere. But it was nice to have for him to wear that shirt. Then he talks about Paige. Talks about the tag team match we're going to have against FTR. FTR proving cooler heads prevail by having a cooler. They don't smash on anyone's head this time. And then Omega got censored. The censor guy fell asleep, by the way, for a little bit. Paige was here, and, in a very, very loud shirt. And FTR says, oh, it was you that, turned on all your friends and caused all this shit. They're going so much against Paige, it's going to be obvious Paige is going to help cost his team the match. And FTR is going to win it. Oops, spoiler, probably spoiled my prediction right there. But I'd be very surprised if Paige doesn't do that, because I think the time has come finally to separate the team. And then, it was fine. It was a decent segment for what it is. But Paige went to go hand the title to Omega, and he wasn't there. So while I'm not a big Omega fan as far as in ring and everything, the storytelling they're doing, hey, it's something. Whether I'm thinking it's working for the long term or not, it's something at least. And then Jericho's with Marvez, hype for All Out, the Mimosa Mayhem match, which if it was on WWE TV would get killed, and rightfully so. Janella versus Pandemico. Look, Orange Cassidy was at ring. They both physically look like shit. Not Cassidy. Cassidy is what he is. I'm not in good shape. I admit that. I'm not an athlete. Jericho's almost 50. Janella's in his early 30s to mid 30s. Both physically look like shit, and it just didn't look like this match had anything after 3 minutes. And it wasn't much. It was basically a tune-up match for Jericho. That's what it was. Jericho wins pretty easily, as he should have. And the fact that Janella is employed by a major wrestling company is kind of disgusting to me, because he's not any good. I don't know if he's a bad person. He's just not any good. And then they exposed turnbuckle, so Janella's busted open. Cassidy runs in, he gets beat up a bit. Sonny Kiss comes in and just freaking forearms the fuck out of Jericho. That was some good, forearms the fuck out of, that was really good shit. That was goddamn good shit. A lot of, melee stuff happened here, so I know he got a hell of a goddamn forearm. And then, Orange Cassidy had a bag with him and had, a thing of the bubbly and poured it out and everything, but that was impressive. Put Sonny Kiss on the buy-in, for God's sakes. Have him face somebody. Have him and Janella face somebody and have Sonny Kiss carry the goddamn match like he's been carrying the team, for God's sakes. This segment was fine. It was fine. And then Sammy Guevara with flashcards while Matt is somewhere in the balcony doing his best Sting impression. And then Taz with Starks and Cage, and it's Battle Royal hype, and this is where the show lost me. This is really where the show lost me. One match got me back into it. He says... Jake Roberts and Lance Archer show up. Jake Roberts says, you're just a squirrel trying to find a nut, and you're not going to bust a nut when we're in the ring. Thanks, Jake. I laughed, but seriously, what the fuck? Hearing a guy with that kind of voice, and, as disgusting as he is, saying bust a nut, well, anyway. Eddie Kingston with his boys, Lucha Bros and Butcher and Blade, and then he says, I don't know where to take Ricky Starks out on a date or beat him up. And that made me laugh. Eddie Kingston, by the way, one of the best promos in wrestling, period, because he's basically just him. I don't even know what the volume turned up. He's just him. Everybody get in here. Inner Circle, best friends, the Gun Club. So many people. Random people that just ran from the goddamn crowd. I guess we're just getting people that were on dark, that were in Hawaiian shirts. Whatever the fuck this was. None of the women ran in, which is probably smart. It's not a casino match or a casino royale match with cheese for the women, but still... It was messy. Battle Royals are supposed to, be something where it's like, hey, we can push these storylines, we can do something. And this didn't work. This was just to fill out the goddamn card. And they went to a commercial break. They come back, it's still going. So a minute later, they run a Dark Order vignette, which turns into comments from Scorpio Sky, Matt Cardona, and the Natural Nightmares. Thankfully not Brandy talking. About, the 8-man tag is going to happen at All Out. I don't really care for the Dark Order. I tend to lose interest whenever they're on here, but they do all this and then suddenly everybody's gone. And now we finally get to the one women's match, because the other women's segment wasn't all that good. Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb. I love Thunder Rosa. I cannot wait to see that match with her and Hikaru Shida. And this was pretty damn good. I met Thunder Rosa. She's fan-fucking-tastic. Serena Deeb is really good as well, and... JR said, I didn't call Mildred Burke's, matches, but we did date for a while. JR making fun of his own age. And shockingly, mentioning a woman that was a bit older than him, as opposed to ones that are about 30 years younger than him, or 40 in some cases. He's not as bad as Lawler. Nice pace, really good stuff. Serena got in some shots, Thunder Rosa got in some shots, and since it was the first time we got to see Thunder Rosa on TV, a competitive match against a veteran was not the worst thing in the world. Now, if it was somebody that was a younger talent that had been on Dark that had just gotten beat up, this wouldn't have worked. It worked because Serena and Thunder Rosa are established, talents. And maybe not to an AEW audience, but to people that know, they know. And the Thunder Driver for 3. Thunder Rosa was very happy. I was perfectly fine during this match, but this was good. Finally, they feature the women. And then Moxley talks about the main event of All Out and says 2020 has been a bad enough year. We don't need MJF as champion. And Shivani talks to Big Swole. She talks about a tooth and nail match. And then Reba shows up as a pizza delivery person. And then Britt attacks her. And then Swole gets Reba's big hot pie all over her back. And then in her face. Britt and Reba tag team her and put pie in her face. I'm going to keep saying this until you guys keep picturing it. This didn't work for me. And also with all the hype they got, they're putting this on the buy-in. They're putting this match on the fucking buy-in. Really quickly here, put another match on the goddamn buy-in. This match actually had something going. They've been hyping this up for a while. Yes, you want to entice people with some big feuds. But have 2 women's matches on your big pay-per-view. And maybe, and on the actual main card. And maybe you can prove that you actually care about your women's division. I just don't think it was the best deal to put on the pre-show. It almost sounds like it's going to be cinematic with the way they say a tooth and nail match. I hope not. MJF's lawyer, Mark Sterling, actually forgot his name already, versus Jon Moxley. Comedy match, paradigm shift for 3. I mean, that was it right there. Wardlow then hits 2 F10s and MJF is fine. He fists him with the ring and then beats him up, busts him open and everything. So we're going to see what happens at All Out. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.